welcome back to the channel. I'm glad you're with me. I hope you had a fantastic season and that you're ready to get started for the new year. Today I'm going to be doing a pick-a-pile reading for the month of January 2021, so Happy New Year. And if you haven't had one of these done before, and if you haven't done one of these with me before, what I do is I have different candles. I'm going to have a lavender, a green, and a yellow today. I'm going to light these, and I'm going to give you an overhead of piles of cards, and whatever color of candle that you're drawn to, that will be your reading for the month of January. So there will be timestamps down below so that you don't have to sit through all of the readings, although you're welcome to do that as well if you want. So we're going to get started right away, and I'm just going to pull the camera in and get an overhead shot and we can get going. Okay, so let's get started with your reading. Like I said, I have a green candle, a yellow candle, and a lavender candle, so just take a minute, and whichever one you're drawn to, that will be your reading for January. So just take a minute and do that. Okay, so these are the people who chose the green candle. Oh, okay, so that's really good. So right immediately I see that there's a lot of new dreams and new plans that you have going on in your life. There's some new plans. You might have looked at some resolutions. You might be making some resolutions for the first time in a long time. And you have a lot that you want to do. It's almost like you've chosen too many resolutions for the year. That's okay. You do have the ability to get it done, but you do have to conserve your energy just a little bit. It's better for you to pick one or two of the resolutions that you had planned for this year and work towards those, because otherwise you're going to find it very mentally exhausting. The King of Wands is a significator card, and he's reversed in this case, which means that you're kind of overwhelming yourself with resolutions. So just pick one. Pick one major one that you want to get done and break it down into small parts, and you will find that you have much better chance of actually getting something done resolution-wise this year. There is a feeling of possibly a bit of struggle around finances and home. So you might be finding that you are a little bit overburdened as far as debts this year. So you might have overextended yourself a little bit over Christmas. That's okay. You will find that you are moving through that. You might also find that there is a sense of conflict between, I'm feeling conflict like familial conflict. And it's not that there isn't love and respect there, but there's a feeling of needing to be in two places at the same time, and seeming like people are being torn between two ways of being or two places. So this could be having two separate families, having a blended family situation, but there's a financial aspect to it as well. So there's a feeling of having overextension that's causing conflict. Overextension of financial resources, certainly, but also overextension of just your fortitude and your ability to get things done and where you want to be. So this is actually something that you're moving through. So there's also a feeling of needing more stability and more steadiness. So there's a feeling like having been torn between two different places and torn between family and kind of arguments about finances and where you want to be with the people around you. Don't worry, but there is about it, because it will resolve itself, but there is a feeling of needing more stability. So to stay in one place longer than you have, or to be in one situation longer than you have. There's a feeling of need for stability around children as well, especially since moving into the new year. Christmas is over now, things are getting back more towards normal, and there's a feeling of needing to start to have a more steady routine and more steady habits, because that is actually going to lead you away from problems. So any kind of war that you've been having with yourself, either whether it's your health, or it doesn't have a lot to do with health, but it has a lot to do with stability, which affects health. Anything that you've been moving through that is been a struggle, finding yourself some steady habits and forming and creating new habits, or getting back to old habits that you used to have, is actually going to go a long way to helping you with your inner conflicts and outer conflicts in the world. So there is passage away from problems. And there is a renewal of almost childlike, bringing things that are more childlike into your life. And there's a feeling of, I'm getting multiple readings for different people. For one person for this reading, it's essentially revisiting some things that you used to do when you were younger that you'll be doing again, and they are actually going to be helping you move into getting what you want out of this year and out of this month in particular. It's getting off to a strong start, so it's bringing back some old habits that were positive habits that you need to get back into. For someone else that's out there who's doing who I'm reading this for, there's a very clear indication that there is some conflict going on. There's a feeling of needing more stability and needing to have steady habits. But there is also a sense of immaturity around it, almost not wanting to relinquish some of the things that like maybe eating too much, drinking too much, being too much of a child about things. And there may be somebody in your life that you're having in conflict with, that they're saying this is an immature way to behave. So just know that there is conflict going on around you around that. And there is a feeling of competition around it as well. So it's like you have two competing houses almost. There's a feeling of part of you, or part of the world that you're in right now, is saying it's time to grow up, it's time to get some good habits, it's time to let go of all the childlike ways, it's time to stop being so immature in your thinking. But then there's the internal part of you and another part of you that doesn't want to relinquish those more fun parts of your life. And it seems like the fun parts of your life. So you have a lot of conflict about childhood going forward. I wouldn't worry too much about it, because I do feel like the Emperor card is there, and this is what you're growing into, and this is having more stability and more peace of mind because you have more stability. So all of these other cards, they're kind of the movement towards this card. So you are going to start to be the Emperor in your own life, which means that you'll be your own counsel. You'll keep your own counsel, and you will trust your own judgments more. And this is very important, that you trust your own judgments. Even though you're in conflict with yourself and other people around some of the ways that you think about the world, trust your own judgment, because this is the archetype that you're growing into, and this is the person who is the steady rock, who has what they need, who can provide stability and advice to those around them. So this is excellent, actually, for you to see in your cards this year. Well, and January in particular. So we're going to move on to your Tikiashi card. And your card is Trust. Okay. No fear. Trust yourself. Like I said, trust that you know what you're doing. Your knowing, your intuition, and your wholeness. Move with certainty and be sure of yourself. Now may be decision time. It is only fear that could hold you back now. When you know that there is no such thing as a wrong decision, you will trust yourself joyfully. It is time to trust in the process of growth. Let go, allow, and flow. You might just enjoy it. And that is kind of what I was talking about all of these other conflict cards, and the cards around immaturity, and the cards around conflict in family, and your dreams. Getting your dreams is actually trusting yourself that you can get your dreams, and that you will actually become this stable force in your life, and you won't need anyone outside of you. Okay, so all the bright blessings for the green flame people. So we're going to move on to the yellow flame. So this is for anyone who was drawn to the yellow flame. Okay, right away we're getting instability around money and the need to balance. So you may have overextended yourself over Christmas. not only in money, but in emotional expenditure. So you've been maybe a little more emotional than you normally are, and you're feeling a bit imbalanced and a bit out of sorts. Okay. So definitely some imbalance happening there. You do have good partnership cards. There's feeling that some of you may be actually in a new situation partnership-wise. I don't necessarily mean a new relationship, but it can be a furtherance of a relationship or taking that next step. So there's definitely coupleship cards for you. And some work. So you may be finding that you're going into a new position or a new job situation. And if you're not going into a new one, then you're experiencing new aspects of the one that you're in. And it has a lot to do with learning on the job, has a lot to do with learning to work with your hands and work with the materials that you're given. And it has a sense of apprenticeship around it. So this is really cool. There is burden. And it could be that you might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed in the new situation, the new partnerships, and the new apprenticeship. There is a feeling of that around it. There's a lot of balance around you issues as well. So that's something that you need to be aware of, that your balance might be just a little bit off. Like, you definitely have some balance going on. All right. For some of you, this is going to be a very special card. So we definitely have partnership, we have imbalance, we have working hard, we have some burden and carrying burden for other people. Definitely balance is part of it. And you may be feeling a little imbalanced and a little out of sorts. And this is for my ladies in the audience. You might be feeling just something a little bit weird with you, and you may actually be needing to look to your physical health, especially your female health. Page of Cups is, in its reversed, is about fertility, and it is about female reproductive stuff. It's messages around babies, it's messages around that kind of thing. So you might be feeling that your hormones are a little bit out of whack, or something's going on like that. It's definitely something that's causing, you might be going through some kind of hormonal shift. For people who may have just had babies, you might be having a little bit of postpartum starting to happen, and that is something that you need to be aware of, because once you're aware of it, then you're much easier able to balance it. And you may be feeling a little bit overwhelmed, especially those who've just had babies, or who are thinking about having babies, or thinking about that this is the year. The feeling around it might be that you're carrying a lot of the burden of it mentally and physically. So be aware that you might be just a little out of whack hormonally and physically at this time. So this might not be the best month for anybody who's thinking about having, starting to try to have babies. This might not be the best month to do it. This could be a good time to start to get other things in order, to get your financial house in order, to get your actual house in order, and to get your health in order, and change some habits that maybe aren't as great for somebody who's trying to become pregnant. If you're not trying to become pregnant, then you need to watch your physical health and be aware of changes in your cycles. And also for those who are trying to avoid that, you might want to make sure that you're using the best judgment in regard to your reproductive health, if you know what I mean. Like, don't take any chances. There is a sense of carrying a lot of burden this month. There's a lot of kind of reassessing things and burdens around that. There's a lot to do at home, there's a lot to do at work. Mentally and physically, you're doing a lot of work this month, it feels like. And it's creating a lot of imbalance for you. So that is something to be aware of. Know that you have good partnership, though, and depend on your partnership. Your partnership card came up very strong and very much able to help you balance. And you don't have to take on the world by yourself, okay? You certainly have a partner there who is more than willing to help you do what you need to do to be healthy and happy. So be aware of that, and trust that they have some judgment too. Sometimes when we're a little off kilter and we're a little off balance, our judgment can be off balance as well. So don't be afraid to ask your partner for advice. Don't be afraid to listen a little bit to what they have to say, because they may have some ideas that you hadn't thought of. So, and there is a resurrection of this partnership. Like, it feels like this is a month of coming together. By the end of the month, I think things are starting to gel for you more. For those who are in new relationships, that is starting to happen more towards the end of the month, when things start to get a little bit more steady. So just watch your balance this year. This month. I will be doing a year end or year beginning at some point this week. So your card is cooperation. Like I said, you have a partner that you can absolutely depend on and cooperate with to get everything you need. If I can find him. There he is. Or she is. Okay. Cooperation. Cooperate with yourself. Don't give yourself such a hard time. Balance of give and take is what is needed. Let go. Allow that which is for your highest good. Now is the time for active participation in group projects. In active cooperation, you will gain much more than you anticipated. Be responsive to all situations. So like I said, don't be afraid to ask for your partner for help. Don't be afraid to take in their ideas and thoughts as well. That's all about cooperation. So this is your reading for January, and I hope it was helpful. All the bright blessings for my yellow flame people. Okay. All right. So you have a lot going on. Your Wheel of Fortune is changing. Things seem to be escalating as the month goes on. You might be finding that these might be for people returning to work and school after the holidays, getting back into the groove, getting back out into the world, and changing. You can feel the tide changing. King of Swords. This is a male energy. King of Swords is somebody with a very sharp mind, very good at business acumen, very good at business, very good at cutting through kind of the crap of life. And this is somebody who is definitely present in this reading. There's a feeling of hard work around this person. So this may be specific to a specific person that's out there getting this. And the feeling is working really hard for very little money, and feeling frustrated around that. So you might be finding that there may be some thought of retraining or going back to school, so changing your fortune. The change of fortune seems to be prevalent in this. It's like you made a decision at the beginning of the year that this is the year for change, and that you've been working too hard for too long for too little. You definitely have some celebrations coming up which are changing your thought pattern around this. There's a feeling of these are usually family celebrations like weddings, births, christenings, birthdays, that kind of thing. So you have something coming up. It's almost like you've reached an age. I'm feeling like there's a definite arc to this. There's a feeling of whoever you are, that this energy is a male energy. That doesn't mean that you have to be a male for this to be a reading. It can just mean that you embrace a lot of male energy power, a lot of that sun energy. So this could still be your reading, but you're very good. You have a very good mind. You're very sharp-witted. You're very good with business. But you've been working too hard for too long, and it feels like you're coming up to a milestone. And this could be like a marriage, but it feels more like you're moving into a birthday type situation. So you're reaching a birthday this year that is significant. And the feeling is now, this is the time to change your fortune. And there is a lot of conflict inside you about it, and a lot of competition inside you. And this is internal conflict around changing your fortune. But what I can tell you for sure is the Wheel of Fortune always changes, but it's the feeling towards this is that this is your year to make big changes. This is your year to decide that you don't want to do this job anymore. This is your year to to face your inner conflicts around hanging on to things that have been in your past. Not, I was going to say holding you back, but they weren't holding you back. They were serving a purpose for the time that you were in them. But you've moved past them and you've come to a milestone. You're coming to a crossroads. Yeah, you definitely feel like there's an ending to a situation. The Tower is necessary destruction. It looks terrible, but it isn't. It's in its upright position. The Tower is an ending to a situation. So I feel like a job situation is definitely ending because you're dissatisfied with it. You've been in conflict with it for a while, and you've decided that this year, because there's a milestone happening for you, is the year that you're going to change it. So this is all very positive. Yeah, you definitely have an ending. Definitely have an ending. Okay. This reading is not for a specific person. But I will tell you that this feels like a very dramatic change. This feels like, for some of you, okay, some of my people who are watching, you are going to be experiencing a very dramatic shift in your life. There's a feeling of, for some people, that you may have actually be experiencing a death in your family. Death is transition. Death is not the end. Death is just another part of it. But I do feel like it's something expected. It doesn't feel really sudden. It is a necessary transition. But it is also a very hard one. It's something that you've expected, but you're in conflict about it. And I think it's kept you in a situation. There's somebody out there, it's kept you in this situation. And because it's ending, and this particular part of your life is ending, you can move forward and change your fortune, okay? Okay, so like I said, don't panic when you see this. It's not always about death. Now, there definitely is someone out there that this is an expected thing and it is going to happen. It feels like pretty soon. But this death card is not always about physical death, and it very rarely, in my experience, is about physical death. That isn't what comes through in most of my cards. This is about the ending of jobs. It can be about the ending of relationships. Okay, but it's definitely the ending of a cycle. It's like the wheel is turning down so it can turn back up again, and you're choosing to have this happen. So I feel like you're changing situations, and it feels like you have reached a milestone. You're fed up with how things are. You're fed up with the relationship you're in, or you're fed up with the job that you're in, and as much as you've been in conflict about it over the last year, this is the year, feels like this month is when you're deciding that it's done and it's over, and the Tower's destruction and death is the ending of it. Okay, so you are actually in a really interesting place. You're starting a new year and you're starting a new life. You're trashing a lot of the stuff that was in the past year. Which is going to be hard, but it's going to be good as well, because this card is all about leaving behind emotional baggage and physical baggage. So a lot of what you're doing this month is work on letting go of emotional baggage. It's letting go of grief. It's letting go of things that have held you back. It's letting go of relationships that have held you back. It's letting go of jobs that aren't where you want to be anymore. And not being afraid of the destruction and the endings of these things, because the fear is there, and change is scary. Change is always scary, so no matter what it is. But know that you're letting go of a lot of baggage and you're moving to a new place. You're actually, if you look at the card, you can see it's a mountain climber. You don't want to look at the stuff at the bottom of the mountain. You're going to fall right back down that mountain. You're going for the pinnacle. You're going for the top. So that is your reading for January. I'm going to read the Tiki Ash card. Breathe. Breathe deeply. Your breath draws life, giving oxygen into your body. When faced with difficulties, remember to breathe. Nothing is ever solved when you hold your breath. There may be something you are opposed to. Don't fight it. Allow the flow. Now may be the time to breathe some new life into what you have pushed aside. Well, that's very interesting. Because that's kind of what I've been saying. It's like don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of the change. Don't be afraid of situations that you're going to be going through. If you're going through a situation with a loved one where you're experiencing loss, you can't resist the loss. Well, you can, but it's going to slow your progress through the loss and through change. Anytime you resist, you slow your progress through situations. So breathe. Breathing is important, and don't be afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of. You will come through situations, and this is part of the cycle of life. And that Wheel of Fortune card is all about the cycle of life, and it's all about change and how you're up. It goes in a circle. Sometimes you're at the top of it, and sometimes you're at the bottom. When you're at the bottom, that's when you let go of relationships. That's when you let go of jobs. That's when people leave your lives in different manners. And then you start the cycle again, and you start to come up in your fortunes again, and things look bright again, and they will look bright again. And there's just things that you have to go through. And this month seems to be kind of the month where you're deciding to make some changes, and the month where things are happening that are incendiary in your life and blowing things up, and that's okay. Just breathe. Okay, so I'm gonna put that away, and I hope that helps you a little bit. All the bright blessings for the Lavender people. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was helpful, and I hope that you get something out of it. And if you do resonate with one of the readings, please let me know down in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and ring the notification bell. It'll help a lot. I do these at the beginning of every month, not usually on the first, but in the first week. So you can stay tuned for February's. And as well, this year I'm going to be trying to do something a little bit different, and I'm going to do some world predictions for the year of 2021. It's not something I normally do, and I don't normally do it because my idea of psychic readings and tarot readings in particular is a little bit different and a little bit left of center as far as the normal psychic. I don't believe anybody can actually tell you with absolute certainty the future, and anyone who tells you that they can is probably lying. You can't. There's too many variables. Timelines can shift and change, and do shift and change all of the time. You have free will. The universe itself works on its own schedule, so things can change and shift and make differences in your life all of the time. That said, there are major pinpoints in your life that may not change, but it's how you get from one to the next that can change and move and shift as much as you want it to, really. You are the captain of your ship. So don't ever forget that nobody can actually tell you. But later on this week, I am going to be putting out my predictions, worldwide predictions. So American politics, Canadian politics, because I'm Canadian, arts, entertainment, business, economy, whatever else comes to mind. I'm going to be doing a 2021 reading. So I'm pretty excited about that, so stay tuned for that one. And I hope you enjoyed your readings. I hope that you're keeping healthy and happy and safe. And until next time, don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night, because they're there in the light too. It's so cold. Here's your coat.